Welcome back to SevTech Ages of the Sky, and today it's time to get all powered up with blood magic. And why are we doing blood magic, you may ask? Well, let's take a look. So we had last episode our power setup. There's not enough steam coming through, but there is a way to generate a lot more steam. Now you can do that with the boiler that we previously did, and that requires diesel and all that stuff from the whole chain of oil production. But you can also, I think, create it with the same mod here with advanced generators with the heat exchanger, if that's included. Heat exchanger controller, and as you might imagine, it exchanges heat, but it does so with water and lava. But it uses the lava up, and we don't have a renewable source of lava right now. Apart from blood magic. So here we are with blood magic. We can create a block of lava whenever we like, as long as we're willing to spend points in our network. Unfortunately, we have no way of renewing automatically the points in our network, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Yes, so today we need to do a few things. Get started with just let's grab this blood orb back, and I'm just going to replenish the altar because I'm going to get it to craft something for me. How many points have I got? 8,000. That's fine. I will just put in one of these lava crystals. It takes 10,000, but we should have enough time to do this. Oh, maybe not. 4, 3, 2, the soul fray. You can only click this every time your soul fray runs out. There we go. So that should be enough to turn that lava crystal into a weak activation crystal. So if you have a look at what lava crystal is, it's some lava wood. So that's lava poured onto wood in your smeltery. Another one of those fiery bloods. So you only get a few of them from the bosses in the Twilight Forest. 3 buckets of lava, etc. And a particular blood orb, and away we go, and we get a weak activation crystal. That's great. What else do we need? Well, to get this far, I've already gone to the next tier up, the tier 4 altar, mainly because the tier 4 blood orb can store a lot more stuff in our a lot more life points in our network. So to do that, you have to go to tier 4, which is the next ring of runes down. So you can see it's 3, 5, 7, and it's stepping down one down, 2 out each time, and then the next tier will be 1 down, 3 out, if I remember rightly. But the main sticking point in the whole thing, very straightforward, apart from this, large bloodstone tiles. So bloodstone can't be made except by having weak blood shards, and if you click on it, there's no recipe for it. What you need to do to get those is the bound blade. Okay, the bound blade. It's the same kind of crafting process as we did with our living armor, so binding reagents, with golden sword in this case, or you can use a diamond sword, but we can't use diamond swords yet because we don't know what diamonds are, but golden sword, and then we can make a bound blade, and this has 2 forms. So our bound blade has this disable form, a shift right click, you go into activated form, but when you go into activated form, it consumes a couple of hundred of your life points every second to stay like that. But when you start hitting mobs with it, you start to get weak blood shards, which you can then use to craft these, which unlocks your tier 4 altar, and we're ready to go. I did that off camera because it's the same kind of process we've already been doing. There's nothing really much new there. However, today there is. Rituals specifically is pretty new. So what do we need to do for that? We need something called a diviner, and a diviner is one of these. And to craft that, you need these other items, but they are just stuff thrown into your blood altar. There is nothing amazing there with that process, and a treated stick and some platinum, and you get this ritual diviner. That's not enough for what we're going to be doing. You have to upgrade even further. So even further, you need to go and craft some demonic slates, which you need a tier 4 altar for. So you can't actually do this until you get a tier 4 altar. And it's going to require the full capacity of your entire altar for each one of those. Coming from a block of stone all the way up to demonic is pretty much going to use up your entire altar's supply. So do them one at a time. Don't try and do stacks of 10 or anything. And then these elemental inscription tool dusks are just blocks of coal. So again, nothing great there, nothing amazing there. And we've got the ritual diviner dusk. What does the ritual diviner do? Well, this places a big multi-block structure, but it's not like a solid multi-block by 3 by 3 by 3. It's sort of sparse. It's got gaps in between, and very often these rituals, all these different blocks placed in very specific positions, are meant to interlock with each other to have multiple effects together. So you don't always need just a single ritual, you might use multiple. However, this places them all for you, so you don't have to go and remember or dealing with anything like the modularium stuff and stuff like that. This is very, very easy to craft. However, we are going to need the ritual stones. So the ritual stones, you're going to need 40 of them. I'm sorry in advance, but I went and crafted some 20 reinforced slates. Is that enough for just 20? I may need some more. So ritual stones, I need the... Oh, I need a blood orb. Let's grab my master blood orb. Okay, and let's just craft as many as we can, please. Yeah, I'm just going to divide those up. There we go. Well, it's roughly divided. There we go. And yeah, you can see I don't have enough, so I'm going to have to go and make more. But for the time being, I can make 5 batches of 4, which gets me 20 ritual stones. I need to do another batch of 20 of the reinforced slates, which is fine. We can just throw them back into the blood altar with our sacrificial dagger. One note on this, by the way, if you're going to do this setup, that ritual anchor is amazing for this. So it regenerates things constantly. So, but you can't actually just keep on holding down, right click, etc. because of soul fray. You have to wait for that to go. So sometimes when you're crafting, that may not even be fast enough to actually craft what you want. But for the majority of stuff, it is. It's just when you get to the stuff like crafting the new blood orb and stuff like that, that you may have a few issues, but other than that, it's great. The other reason why I'm really happy with this ritual anchor is that I hope it actually affects mobs. Let me actually just see whether that's the case. So if let's go and grab this horse. Hey horse, let's just grab you and bring you over here for a minute. Just a quick test. Okay, is the horse particularly immune to damage? It's got 1/2 heart off, and it was in range when it there, and it looks like it's regenerating, I think. Yes, it is. Now that's important because we're going to be making the Well of Suffering. Now, typically, the Well of Suffering I would use witches for. Oh, take my flight backpack off. I must remember not to do that. Yes, the Well of Suffering I'd normally use witches for because witches heal themselves. So you put a cage full of witches down below and you have to capture them somehow, but you know, you do that. And you put the Well of Suffering above them and below your altar, and you end up with an altar that continuously refreshes and refills with life essence. However, we don't have anything like a capture mechanic. Capturing, do we have capture? Well, there's nothing showing up for those. They're not particularly. Is it dimensional cage? I think these are the dimensional cages, but we can't. That's Abyssal Craft stuff, so I don't think we can do that yet. And there's no nets that I can easily see about just grabbing a witch and then reproducing it, like duplicating it. Is the mob duplicator? The mob duplicator is available, but needs reinforced metal, some machine casings, which needs printed circuit boards, which needs pneumatic craft. So that's not available. So what I thought we'd do instead is use that ritual anchor. We can move it underneath and just put a nice little fence down with perhaps some buffalo or some other livestock, and they should provide all the life points that we need. Because when you turn on the Well of Suffering, it's going to consume your life points, but it's going to give you more back if it's got stuff to damage. If it doesn't have stuff to damage, then you're into a bit of a problem. So I'm going to go and craft the rest of these slates, which I can now actually just do. And there we go in. I was hoping to get something that could ration the items coming into the blood altar. Unfortunately, these item extraction cables from Cyclic, although they do have a slider up here to say transfer rate 1, it doesn't monitor what's in the target inventory, so it will just transfer everything. And it does them pretty quickly. So at 64 means it's transferring a stack at a time, and it's doing it pretty rapidly. So yes, I do quite like that. However, we should be just needing to wait for these. And once they're done, we can get 40 ritual stones. We need to then craft 1 master ritual stone from the 4 of those to make to bring us down to 36 ritual stones, which is exactly the number we need for the Well of Suffering. So if you shift left and right click, you can change between the different rituals on your diviner. In my case, I've cleared space underneath the altar for our ritual. Now you can put it, yeah, it's got a range of like 10 vertically up and down and horizontally as well. So it's got a huge area that this can apply to. However, I tend to put this just underneath the altar. It's convenient for that, and then I can build a room below this. So I want it right there. You'll see it's got a room of 3 vertically, and it also has a room 9 by 9 horizontally in this particular case. That's the actual whole size that the ritual is going to take up, I believe. Let's just see if that's actually the case. So this won't activate when we actually lay it out. So you can lay this out and then, relay it out. And you can see if you hover over it, exactly where all the blocks are. So you can see right now, I can't put this any higher because our altar structure is going to be blocking this thing. But if I instead just start holding and right click, it's going to start placing the ritual stones out of my inventory straight to where they should go. And there we go. We've got our Well of Suffering. Now, it's not active yet, but it is ready and available for us to activate with our weak activation crystal. It will take up 50,000 life points out of your network. So before you do that, you're going to make sure you have more than 50,000 life points. And you also want to make sure you have a room below or some kind of platform below to contain your donors. Okay, I think we're ready to give this a trial run. So I have 17,420 in the altar, and I have 87,905 in my network. So we should be able to get this thing going. I've got a weak activation crystal, and down at the bottom I've just set some earth down so that grass can actually just spread down here. And we've got our friendly regenerating animals down here. There's 4 buffalo and 1 horse so far. We can breed these up, of course, or I can carry on transferring more from over there where I got them from. But let's give this a go and let's see whether we get a positive gain. All right, so we should take a weak activation crystal and right click on the master ritual stone, or maybe shift right click, one of the two. How much is in my network right now? Still 87,000. Activates low level rituals. Yes, this should actually work. Right click. There we go. I had to right click it twice to actually assign myself as the owner the first time. And you'll see now we're down to 47 and it's draining. Draining's a bad thing, but it's expected because it's taking the drain from our life point network. So we need some way to replenish our life point network, which means I need wherever I left my my blood orb. There we go. And it should be adding back into the altar. You can see the altar is going up by 200. So if I drop the master blood orb in, that's going to transfer the altar stuff into our network stuff, and you should see that we are gaining life points in our network. So this is why you tend to have one altar dedicated to just dumping stuff into your network. Now you can see that is draining much faster than we can actually supply it, and that's why you modify this altar that donates into your network to basically maximize that, and I'll show you that in a second. I just wanted to make sure that our friends down here are happy. They appear to be nice and happy. Yes, that's not damage, that's just them blushing with embarrassment at being lit so well. But yeah, aside from that's fine. And we are working without witches, so it is very much a livestock powered farm. Now we should be able to just leave that in here even if it drains all the way to the bottom, and that shouldn't be much of an issue. You then start to think about other altars. So what we could do from here if we wanted to, and we don't necessarily need to just to get the steam and the lava going, but you can put a second altar in to do crafting and then customize that in terms of its runes, and a third one you can potentially do to do something else, such as generating, well, you could have this one generating the blood, and then that one is actually the one with the blood orb in it, because then you can basically customize this one, generate lots and lots and lots of blood, pull it out of this altar into somewhere else, and then send it to both your life point network altar and your crafting altar, respectively, if you wanted to go the whole hog. Now that it's drained the altar, let's see if it's still actually a net positive. So that'll be a good thing if it is, and it is. So you can see that is our life point pool going up. Cool. Now that we've got a regenerating life point pool, we can then head from there and think about what we need to do for this whole thing over there. Now, so we needed lava, and lava I think is the let's just see, I think it's like the ritual, the nether or something like that. Feathered knife, no. There's the regeneration ritual, that'll be cool anyway, but yeah, that's fine. Falling Tower. Serenade of the nether, I think, is the one I'm looking for. It basically generates lava, and then we're going to need some way of pulling lava into any kind of structure. So I'll need to see if there's any way of like a pump or something like that to pull the lava out of the world. Then we'll set up the ritual, and then we'll just have a tank just filled with lava. So let me just do a bit of research, and let's see if we can get that going. Okay, test number 1, and it's a pretty simple ritual to actually do this one. It's no big deal at all. We just have a space and then a space on each side, so a cross shape, and that should be enough to get this going. Some master ritual stone, and then if we just right click with Serenade and Nether, that's only going to need 4 of the things, and that should then be ready to be activated. So this only needs like 20,000 in our network, and we've got 161,000, so I think we're going to be okay for that. And then let's activate it, and there we go with lava. Now, right now, that's not pulling. I was kind of hoping it would, but it isn't. So unless it can actually do an upgrade, upgrades. Maybe there is a world upgrade. So liquid hover will try to empty any liquid to contain like a bucket lying at the input side. Likewise, it'll try and fill any liquid to contain at the output side. So how about this is pneumaticraft repressurized? Is there any upgrades for that to do world pulling? But never mind, the fluid extraction cable works just fine and fills up a nearby tank. So yeah, that's very straightforward to do. And of course, anytime that goes down by any, this will just continue pulling out lava, and we eventually have infinite lava. Now what we don't really have is transport for that cross-dimensional stuff. No ender tanks yet, that's probably in the next age. So yeah, is there any ender stuff? Well, there's lots of stuff that say ender, but yeah, I don't know if there's an ender tank. Anyway, we'll have a look at that later. But now I have a source of lava, and I also have a source of water. So good news, we need to build the heat exchanger. So heat exchanger, and there it is, heat exchanger controller. It's the same kind of stuff we built before, so I'm not going to show the same process. It's the same modules as this, except the only difference is instead of turbines, you actually build the actual heat exchanger blocks themselves. Here we go, heat exchanger, and these are just iron by comparison to the to those kind of things. So yeah, we don't need to do anything specific, I don't think. So I'm going to make a multi-block about the same size as this, and we'll see where we go from there. We'll need to have probably 2 fluid intake valves. However, one will need to be for water, obviously, and the other one is going to need to be for lava. So I may well create a new water source sort of over here, and then we'll have, you know, 2 tanks right next to each other ready to actually be pulled into something else. I'll probably need to put water source blocks, yeah, maybe here with some tanks, yeah, something like that. So now I should have the basics of the multi-block that I want. So I've got a couple of fluid intake valves, and I'm just going to drop them down right there. They're going to be next to this, and then probably the controller is going to be in line here. So let's put the controller down, multi-blocked already. And then a redstone control module I will put above that, and then the rest we can just fill with heat exchangers themselves. So whoops, 1, 2, 3, and that should be all ready to go. We have some options over here, and let's see what it actually does. So right, we need to actually connect this up with the relevant thing. And so I've made more fluid extraction cables. One there. Now I don't know whether this will actually connect directly and then confuse things. So maybe I reroute that with an extra bit of cable. And just remap this. Do I have any fluid cable? I have fluid? Fluid. Yes, I do have some fluid pipe. So I'm just going to rearrange this. Just a little bit. Put the controller there. Put this here, and then put that there, and then this here. Just to make sure there's no confusion over that kind of thing. And then this has lava, and it has water. And it says it's doing obsidian. I don't want obsidian. I actually want it to produce steam, please. I mean to reconfigure this output configuration. No, that's not it. You're not it. Are you going to continue to produce obsidian? It looks like you're trying, but no steam produced. I'm almost sure that's all you... Oh, in fact, no, it is produced steam. It's just full. Okay, fine. That's okay. fast. So in fact, there may be water that we actually run out of. It's using water like crazy. Yeah, so let's actually just hook this up to the other thing with more fluid extraction cables and more fluid pipe. And let's see whether this can actually make that thing go at full speed. Water is definitely the shortage, but not anymore. I put lots more wells and this item output port right here, which outputs all of the obsidian into a frame drawer, so essentially free obsidian for the whole process. And you can see in here now the water is permanently full, as is the lava, and the lava is being produced obviously through, well, I've got this little buffer tank. We don't necessarily need the buffer tank, but you know, it actually works quite well, just a visual indication of everything. And on this side, of course, we've got lots and lots of water being pushed in, and then you'll see the steam is all leaving. So we're not building up a back load of steam just yet, but if we have a look over here, you are empty and you are running at 400 RF per tick rather than previously, and there's another batch of steam that comes in. Seems to be a little bit spotty as far as how fast that comes in. So yeah, it's just using it all back up again. And so what I'm going to do is just keep on adding more and more heat exchangers to this until I get enough heat over here, or enough steam over here, that this thing runs at its capacity, peak production. It should be at 750 RF per tick. And as soon as that happens, you start adding more turbines. And through all of that, you start getting more and more power, which is great as far as I'm concerned. So I'm off to craft some more, and let's just see where we can get our power production to. So I scaled up quite a bit. So we've got lots of wells providing water into our heat exchanger. It's working pretty well. These things are maxed out, and it can supply enough steam over here to basically our power generator. You'll see this thing is running at full speed, 5,000 RPM, and it can produce 1250 RF per tick. It's not producing any right now because it's full. And the only thing that can really take up or drain that faster than it can produce right now is going to be the arc furnace, and it will do that processing pretty quickly. So unless you have massive amounts of resources, you're not going to run out of power anymore. So the massive amounts of resources, however, you're going to want to basically produce iron grit using your crusher, which effectively doubles the ore. And then the only thing that can actually process iron grit into iron ingots is the arc furnace. You can't use the smelter anymore. So having this thing be able to just process things at full speed and taking the slag out occasionally is pretty good, and I'm very, very happy with that. So yes, this is pretty much full size. There might be a room for like another 3 or so heat exchangers, but otherwise you can see there it's consuming water at a rate of knots anyway. And you can still hear things emptying, because even if this isn't producing power, it is using steam. Now you can flip that off and just use this as a battery if you like. You can see it's now basically slowing down its turbine, and you will gradually see this side stop as well if you do that. But in my case, since it's all passive, I can just leave it on. Well, passive-ish. We do have to make sure that we have enough points in our network, which we do, 800,000. And it's going down a little bit and going up a bit, but over time it's actually still going up. And all we need to do now is, if we want to get more, is just breed more animals underneath that altar. It is going to be perfectly fine as it is. And also it's going to be pretty good as a crafting altar. Remember that it will drain if you take this out. So if I do that, see it's going down, but it's not going down very fast. When it uses up the lava, it's going to take off 1,000. And when it uses up, so basically uses the ritual beneath us, that's going to be another 10. So right now it's ticking down really 10 per tick, or 10 per second, you can see. So that's just the ritual below us. But you can see it's also building up the altar. So if I just go to here, you can see it's 4,500. It fills up the altar. You can do crafting, and you don't need to sacrifice yourself anymore. So yeah, but we can do better than that by putting other altars on other platforms and getting the stuff hooked together with new types of runes. I'm going to do a lot of the altar crafting off camera because it's the same stuff you've already seen, but we are going to have different runes, so I'll explain the runes once I've actually built everything up. But for now, this is going to work perfectly well for supplying our life point network. And heading into a new area for the episode, let's throw in a stack of iron. In fact, let's throw in a stack and 3/4. And, well, let's just see what the TNT does to it, shall we? Compressed iron. Yes, now you can do it another way, but the TNT is actually a bit more efficient than doing it the other way. If we'll have a look at the recipes, you can make it not the U. There is a metal press recipe. Yeah, you can use the packing 2x2 to convert a block of iron into 4 compressed iron, and that's nice in that it's a machine recipe, but that's an awful lot of loss. That's like less than 50% basically, whereas this, we got most of it back. So yes, everything's ready now for Pneumaticraft. So the next episode, we're going to be heading into Pneumaticraft. Do make yourself some compressed iron for now. And then we're going to need to be making a few things. So if we look in the quest side of things in age 4, you see down here, we're going to need to make plastic, and it's not the same plastic as immersive engineering, it's a different kind. The pressure chamber, and we want a safe pressure chamber, which means we need to build a feedback mechanism to stop it from overloading. Well, that's easy enough to do. It's just some redstone and a safety valve. But then this thing will need to basically be fed by fuel stuff, so coal or something like that, to heat up and pressurize the whole system. So yeah, what we're going to do for that, we'll see. The Amadron delivery will get us the Amadron tablet, and then the assembly stuff is going to head into crafting printed circuit boards and getting that machine casing. Now the machine casing is quite important because the machine casing takes us into a good storage system. So machine casing, or at least not my current storage system, which is just chests. So machine casing from refined storage is not the actually one I want. I want the simple storage. So if I go for simple storage, there is a controller, network master, there we go. And that takes a machine case, not casing, sorry. So machine case, yeah. So compressed iron plate, we've got compressed iron, we've got plastic, and we can produce more if we want to downstairs. We've got status quartz, I think. Or maybe not. I need to check. Cobalt plate should be easy enough, which leaves stabilized metal, which we can get from the Amadron tablet with oil or diesel or kerosene and trade for it. Or we can produce it using refined hardener, which is raw hardener, which is platinum and obsidian. Platinum I've got quite a bit of, so I could go that route for that side of things. But lastly, the printed circuit board, which means we have to go through Pneumaticraft, which is why it's probably going to be up next. I may well add more to that steam turbine just to see how fast we can recharge. Ideally, I'd like this thing to recharge faster than that can take power from it. But now that we have HV working, it does mean that I can just pull across machines from over there and hook them up to HV if they're basically can work like that. And yeah, everything should be pretty good for a machine haul over here. But I hope you enjoyed the episode. That's been about half an hour, so good episode I think in general. To get blood magic up and running, getting us free lava. We also get free obsidian now. That's this beast of a machine over here is producing obsidian at a rate of knots. I'm up to 5 stacks already. This thing only holds 32, so I need to craft some upgrades. But yeah, it just produces a natural consequence of using up the lava. So yeah, free obsidian, free lava, and well, we've always had free water, but that's an awful lot more water. And you see I've got rid of the solar tower because this thing just pales and puts it into... It's just nowhere near as good as this. So yeah, I would have to build many solar towers versus this, which is just pulling in lots of infinite water blocks. If I can find a better infinite water block and just literally weld it onto the side and connect it into here, that would be amazing. But I don't think we have a better one for now. I'll have a look between the episodes, see if there is anything better, and as soon as there is, we can replace all of this junk with something that's a lot smaller. There isn't the infinite water block that you see normally. There is, however, the sink, I suppose, although I don't know if the sink is actually going to be any faster than that or whether it can actually work. So I guess we could just try that. We may as well. The sink does produce infinite water, and if this is amazing, then cool. I don't need to do anything else. Can I just break you right there? And I may need to just redo this block. Let me just make sure this thing is all disconnected, just so that I don't have any issues, or don't have any issues assessing this, I should say. So let's break you as well, and then replace you by connecting you to there. And let's break you as well, just to make sure things are being nice and Nice and safe. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Or at least nowhere near enough to even register on this whole thing. So that will go back and we will forget about the sink. Yeah, it's nice. It provides water to the whole cooking for blockhead stuff, but it is not good enough for this particular case. All right. So thanks a lot for watching. Feel free to put a like down below if you did like the episode or if you like just the sheer insanity of this thing. And subscribe and click on the bell for notifications for future episodes. Otherwise, I'll see you next episode for some new Mattycraft, and thanks for watching.